So I think like when I see myself having a dog, it's just like I don't want to rush into having a dog and then not have time to enjoy my dog because I am super stressed about money or I am, like doing this and that. And I know that there's not a perfect moment and things will flow even if it's not perfectly. But I do want to give myself that head start of like, at least I want to go in feeling prepared, feeling ready, and kind of like mentally prepared and financially prepared to really enjoy that situation.
Not only that, you have to put a pet deposit down. So add another like half your rent on top of that. Could be like $700. So we're looking at like new math, 10 grand. Okay.
And that is just for you to have a dog for the first year. We have to be aware that none of that replicates to like truly being with your dog and going out in nature. And like that is the biggest thing. So instead of like trying to pull dogs to our reality, I feel like sometimes we just need to let dogs pull us into theirs.
I'm Olivia.
I'm Laura, and this is Ruffly Speaking, a podcast driven by honest, curious conversations about life with dogs.
Each episode, we explore one story or idea that helps us see our relationships with dogs a little differently.
It's not about perfect training or quick fixes. It's about the real, sometimes messy, always evolving nature of sharing life with dogs. Welcome to another episode. This time we have a solo episode of just me and Olivia here chatting about a specific topic that we've had in our minds for a while. And actually, this is a bit of a running joke between us. And I want to say it's one of the topics that inspire us to actually start this podcast because we just wanted to have an opportunity to have all these conversations. And it's finally here, almost at the end of the season. So I'm going to start just by telling you the story of like how this came about, a little inside joke, because when Olivia and I first met, as many of you already know, I hope, like I have no dog in my life, like not a dog of my own. And Olivia does have Darwin, as we all know and love. But like something that Olivia used to always ask me is like, hey, when are you getting a doggy? And I have to say that I've been tempted like so many times. Like when I first started like the journey of becoming a dog trainer, I wanted a dog so bad. And I was like looking at like making my husband look for like pet friendly apartments. But then I was like, okay, so also starting a business is not like the best time for you to kind of like get new expenses because turns out that just moving from a non-pet friendly apartment to a pet friendly apartment, it's already going to be an added expense and like quite a few $100s in there. So I was like, okay, no, that is not the time. And I've been very tempted. Like I want to have a dog and I will have a dog of my own. But my answer to Olivia, it was just like, honestly, I feel like dog ownership is a bit of a scam these days. Because, like you get a dog and then you have like so many new expenses that you have to work even harder to sustain yourself and your dog. And then now you have to hire people like me to hang out with your dog because you are working all the time because you need to buy all these things and just like sustain the life of having a dog. So I was just like, no, like right now just doesn't make sense to me as someone who's like out there taking care of someone else's dogs and then just having mine there or like hiring someone to like take care of mine. I was just like, this doesn't make sense. So like it just became a running joke between us where it's just like dogs are a scam. And every time that Olivia would bring up like a thing with Darwin, it's just like, it's a scam. I'm telling you.
Let me complain about her. And you're right. They are a scam. I fell for it.
I move her into it is a scam. So yeah, I always kind of like say that I prefer right now to be on the other side of the scam rather than on the receiving end. So that's basically the topic that we want to talk with you guys about, like really kind of like just pondering the question of like, is dog ownership becoming a bit of a scam right now? And I think it's like there are so many things to consider. So we just want to dive into that idea. Yeah. I want you to join us.
I mean, it's like we say it lightheartedly too. Like at the end of the day, obviously, I love my dog. I would not change anything for the world. But like, there's sometimes you got to get a reality check. And they
Yes.
give you that reality check sometimes, and you're like, what the heck? Did I fall for this scam?
Yeah, and I tell Olivia that I am a bit of a rebel against the system, especially these days. But I feel like if you go back into my life, just the fact that I never got married, like I mean, I did get married, but we just went into the office, like signed the thing, like it was like a Monday afternoon, and then I just came back to work, and that was it. And I feel like before I used to be like, okay, no, yeah, I do want a wedding and do 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 do. But then it's like once you really have like the marriage and you are in the relationship, is like why do we need to spend, because like to me it doesn't make sense that you have to go into debt to have this beautiful day and start a life together, that it just kind of like gets like, I still have an old friend that it's like not currently a friend anymore, but like she just made like her wedding day was just like the biggest event of her life until this day, like 3 years later, like all she talks about is like her wedding. And it's just like, I don't know anything about like her day-to-day life, the adventures, what they're building. She just continues to talk about that one night. So like that is just something that I know that a lot of people do have, that like dream. I come from a family where like all of my aunts were like single moms. So like I think the idea of like, oh yeah, the happy ever after, like it was never like put into my brain. Although I did want it to have like for so long that huge wedding, la la la. So I think like it's just like knowing that moment when I was like, I didn't spend that, and like I actually like invested the money on us moving to Canada, which actually allowed us to live the life that we always dreamed. So I was just like, why don't more people do that? And like just keep the party and then just live the life. But anyway, so that is just kind of like where I'm coming from. Just so you understand, I'm a bit cold into those decisions. So that's what you can expect a bit from me in here.
But you know what? I get it. Like, I am totally aligned with what you're like thinking, and I agree with you. I think I'm more likely to fall for the scams than you are.
You have fallen for them.
I've fallen for the wedding scam, and I like I mean, we did a modified like destination wedding, so it was a little bit easier in terms of like planning and the expenses and all that. But
And you
at
caught
the
a
end of
lot
the
of like
day,
in like inviting people into those
yeah,
things.
like I made it small. There was only like less than 30 people. It was a nice vacation for everybody too. We had a great time. Friends made friends. It was amazing. But at the end of the day, would I do it again? Probably not. Let's just have a nice brunch or like dinner or something with some friends, and let's just sign the papers, and let's not do this ridiculous, like extravagant wedding thing. And like, if you want that, that's amazing for you and that's wonderful. But don't think that the wedding equates to a happy, healthy marriage, you know? So I think it's just being able to differentiate those things. And it's like the same with dog ownership, like being able to differentiate what it actually is versus what it looks like from the outside a lot of the time. So I agree with you. I just am more likely to fall for the scam.
And I will. I am like getting ready to fall for it at some point, and I hope I can get to the point where I can fall for it. But I always tell Olivia, like, I want to get to a point in my life where I can afford falling for the scam. So that's what we're working on. That's the first scam I'm gonna buy into. But yeah, so like that is kind of like our conversation where all of this idea started. And we actually want to start for like just like using Olivia as an example of that reality check of like what is, because I find that a lot of people like especially when it's this idea of like our first dog, because I think like for a lot of us we've had dogs when like our family dogs and all of this, but it was like I feel like at least for me when I was 13 years old, like yeah, I kind of like a lot of that financial burden fell fully into my mom, right? So like she's the one who actually could come in here and say like, yeah, this is so expensive, blah blah blah. So I think like it's hard to really have a very clear idea of like what it takes, like the time commitment, because it's not like your family dog that you come in, you scratch, you cuddle with, and that's it. It's like it's fully your responsibility, and the time, the financial, and all the cost. Also, because I'm an immigrant here in Canada, I have so many of my friends who just like what it is to have a dog in Mexico. They want to bring their dogs in here. And it's like, guys, we need to talk about what it is for a dog, like the situation, like the idea of having like a pet friendly apartment or not. Like for some people, it's just like a new concept of like, what are you talking about? That I cannot just have a dog in like any apartment that or like
Yeah.
any place that I have. So I think it's important to even like if you are maybe outside of Canada, like considering migrating here, this is also going to be a very useful episode, just understanding everything that goes into really having a dog. Here in Canada, particularly, I guess that it's very similar in the States.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, so we'll talk about that, the financial reality. Olivia will disclose a bit of her numbers.
I will disclose everything. Let me be your
So,
case
yeah.
study.
Olivia's our case study today, and I feel like you're not the most excessive case study. So I feel like you're a good average of
Yeah,
normal
I
people
think
out
so.
there.
Mind you, we also live in like the suburbs of like Vancouver, so we do live in a very expensive location, just
Mm-hmm.
in anywhere in the world, so keep that in mind. But even with that said, from the financial side, I think we're pretty lean when it comes to spending money on Darwin. I say we, me and my husband, because we have a dual income household with no children, so also keep that in mind too. We're just a couple of dinks with a dog.
Yeah, I think like the no children part is like very important because I find that with a lot of my clients. So you can really see the difference in like the time investment and the focus that someone with kids has on their dog, which naturally, like, I'm sorry if a dog is going to fall under the kids and all of the other things that come to someone who is just like you, where like, well, it's your little like baby. So you do have to,
She's
you know,
all
like
that I have.
everything moves around her. So it's very different. So I love that you're giving context of like this particular case study. It's defined this way.
Yeah. It's specific, but it could also be a little bit more general. But yeah, like we do have more time than the average couple, also because both of our jobs allow us more time as well. So keeping that in mind, my husband's a flight attendant. He's here like half the week and only works like 80 hours in a month. I mean, give or take a few hours just because boarding, pre-boarding, all that stuff. But like we do have a lot of
started
time
with that.
Yeah, don't even get me started on how much flight attendants, get paid and work and all that stuff. That's a whole other conversation. But
he needs to start a podcast now.
But we do have a lot of time to spend on her, and we are very lucky in that sense. And yeah, we don't have kids, so she's like our number one priority. And yeah, so that's just the context of my case study, to give you guys an idea before you get a dog, or just to kind of see how you compare with how you allot finances, time spent, all that sort of stuff with your dog. So,
and also you are a very dog person. Like you're you're into dogs even without your own dog. So I think like that always creates, like the average person who just doesn't think about dogs all the time. Like I'm sure that they have a different way of seeing things. But I'm assuming that if anyone's listening to this podcast, it's because they're a bit of a dog person too.
Yeah. I would think so. I would hope so. Or even if not, that's awesome. Thanks for listening.
For enjoying this.
Yeah. Even if you don't have... My sister-in-law actually listens to this podcast. She listens to every single episode. She does not have a dog at all. It's the cutest thing. So to all those
Moni,
people who don't even have a dog,
love you.
Thank you for listening.
All right. So tell us the reality of Darwin.
Of Darwin. Do you want to get into the financials and like talk about all that stuff?
Yeah, why not?
Yeah, let's do it. I did make a spreadsheet because I love my spreadsheets.
They're messy and everything, but we love them.
Yeah, so let's just go through some finances so you guys kind of have an idea of, if you don't have a dog yet, what this could look like if you do get a dog, and then what that would also look like from a yearly, monthly cost going forward. So I did do like rough numbers, but I did try to make it as accurate as possible. So before you even get a dog, there's a lot of like, I like to call it initial setup costs, because these are like one-time expenses. You're probably just going to purchase it once just to like get your puppy set up and all that stuff. And most likely won't repurchase a lot of these things over and over again. So I did it by year for like the finances. So just to give you the total of my initial setup cost for getting Darwin Also, mind you, I paid $2,500, $2,500 for her as a
Okay,
puppy.
that's an initial cost.
So that's an initial cost. She was $2,500, putting it in my spreadsheet so I don't forget.
You didn't have it in there. It's like the cost of the dog.
Yeah, and she did come from a breeder, so yeah, she was a bit more expensive. But obviously, if you adopt, you're likely spending like anywhere from like, I don't know, $300 to $700 for an adoption fee. So you got to keep that in mind. So you're saving up for that cost, the cost of the dog, and then you're also saving up for the cost of that, I would say, like first year expenses. So in the first year, I would say we spent about $2,175. What does that look like? Well, you have your initial supplies. So crate, right there, still have the same one from when she was a puppy. Crate was like $50 off of Amazon. We also got her like a dog bed. It was $45. Leashes and collars. Okay, this is where I spend a lot of money because I'm a bit of a leash freak. You can see I have one there, and I also have another one here. I rounded mine up to about like $100, which is a little excessive because you can buy like any old leash for like $20 and probably use that for the rest of the dog's life. But I have so many different. I have long lines. I have 4 foot, 6 foot, 10 foot, 15 foot, 20 foot, 30 foot.
This is your thing.
That's my thing. So I bought like $100. It's probably more than that, but I didn't want to go like crazy on it. So $100 for leashes and collars and stuff. I don't really buy a lot of collars for Darwin because she literally has the one she's had since she was a puppy because you can't see it on her.
She's too fluffy for that.
She's too fluffy. You don't see it. So there's no point getting her something fancy. I also got her like a dog grooming brush, nail trimmers, kind of rounded that up to $40. Food bowls, snuffle mats, slow feeders, that type of thing for them to eat out of. I rounded it to like 80 for me. A little bit excessive because I do have lots of them. Lots of different kinds. Toys, we actually don't spend that much money on Darwin's toys. Surprisingly, this is her toy box, by the way. You guys can see that. It looks like a lot, but I swear to God, it's other people buying things for her, not us.
She's a pamper girl.
Yes, she really is. And she loves her toys. So we probably spent like $60 on her initial set of toys, which is probably like, I don't know, like 5 or 6 different toys. And then just random puppy supplies. So think like sprays, like cleaning wipes, paw wipes, that sort of stuff. But $100. And then we also got her spayed within the first year as well, which cost us about $600. And then you actually brought this up at one point in one of our conversations. You asked me how much her training had cost. So we actually did puppy like play sessions for Darwin, and then we maybe did about 3 training sessions for like her reactivity, 3 or 4 training sessions for her like reactivity before I got into like fully dog training myself. And I would say that cost about like $500. So we didn't, because we were also very stubborn about everything. We were like, we're gonna learn it all ourselves. We're both educated. We can figure it out. If you don't know dog behavior, don't do it, guys. Just get a professional to help you.
I love that you ended up like becoming a trainer.
I know. Well, because you're like, I'm smart. I can figure it out. There's information online. But the thing with dog training is that there's so much conflicting information. And like your dog is so specific. Your life is so specific. And like to merge all those things together, it's just so confusing if you just don't have professional help on your side. And that's like the one thing I do regret. I wish we had gotten help way earlier and just like committed to it and not had been so stubborn about the process. So if you guys are struggling at all, or even not, like be proactive about it, because we talked about this in our episode with Bianca, like get ahead of the game. Get training in early, even if you don't need it, at least get a chance to like pick a trainer's brain and see how you can help your dog, because being proactive, first of all, it's going to cost you way less than being reactive to the situation. So definitely get some help, or else you're going to end up with something spicy like me.
I'm just curious hearing this, like, at what point did you decide it? Like, when was your like first moment where you were like, okay, yeah, like we need a training, like a look for a trainer or something, did you like, was she already like a year, or like how long it
Yeah.
took you to get to that point?
So we took her to puppy play sessions, which is not like training at all. It's just for her to socialize with other dogs and like get used to that environment. We took her when she was about, I think it was 4 or 5 months, and we took her to a few sessions of that. And then she started becoming really reactive around 6 to 7 months. And that's when we looked for our first trainer. And then we worked with her for a bit, and her knowledge wasn't so extensive on like reactivity and behavior. So we looked for another trainer, and then we worked with her a couple times, and I didn't really love that. So we worked with another trainer after that. So like it was a span over like a year and a half of like bouncing between trainers before I got into it myself and started really committing myself to the proper education.
Okay, but you
So
did
yeah.
like, I mean, you did go with one, like, I mean, soonish rather than later. It's just, I guess, like maybe just the process of actually like finding something that made sense for
Yeah.
you.
Yeah, like I think I would have signed up for classes before I had even gotten her, or like as soon as I got her. Because I think we get into this idea of like, oh, I want to like bond with my dog a little bit before I take them out into the world and do all this stuff. I'm like, yeah, that's great. You're going to bond with your dog regardless. So you might as well just get out there and start learning from other people, you know, like 8 weeks old, 10 weeks old, 12 weeks old, 14 weeks, just get out there and like get help from somebody, even if it's just to like talk to a professional and like see where you might be seeing some potential challenges or problems, or just going through any of your questions. Because I can't even tell you how many times me and Ricky argued about like the stupidest things, like crate trading. Do we keep her in our bedroom or do we not keep her in our bedroom? Or like, do we let her cry it out? Do we not let her cry it out? Like, there's just so many things. You're like, what do we do when you don't know what the right answer is? Because you're just constantly trying new things. And that's also another problem. I think we just tried too many different things, and that doesn't help a dog because they have to get like a routine in their head in order for them to learn things. So for us, it was too much flip-flopping around and not knowing what to do and not having the proper help. So
Okay. So that is just the initial costs of Darwin. And that was
yes.
like 2,100 of like supplies and all of that, plus the 2,500 of Darwin. So like we can say like estimate like 5,000 for like that initial setup.
Yes.
Okay.
So $5,000 I hope you have saved up before you even get your puppy.
Okay, so the other question I wanted to ask, because like what I just mentioned in there of my very aware knowledge that if I move from my apartment that is not pet friendly to a pet friendly apartment, like how much was that difference? Because I know that you did move with the idea of having a dog, so you did come into this like, okay, I need to like move because I want to have a dog. What was that difference? And mind people, I did wanted to make the little asterisk that all of this happened in 2021 for you. Because I feel like
yes.
even like those costs, like if we move them into the like financial situation that we have right now, I'm pretty sure that those are a bit inflated from like this time.
The inflation just on like, oh my gosh, I guess it's almost been like, yeah, like five
5 years.
years. Yeah, it's crazy.
Mm-hmm.
Good question. That's a great point that I did not even include in my spreadsheet.
Let's add it.
Yeah, so because we had to find a new place in order to have a dog, which is why we initially moved to Port Coquitlam, because our place in Surrey just wouldn't allow pets. So the difference between those two places and being able to have a dog was $400.
Okay. And that was again 2021 time. Like right now I was like looking around and it's around like $800, like the difference that I find right now from like the apartments that we see, and kind of like getting the same thing that we have right now, like a 1 bedroom, 1 bathroom apartment, maybe now with dishwasher because we would really love that. But like it's kind of like the same age buildings and things like that.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like around $800 difference, which is like already like quite a bit.
Yeah, and like that $400 difference for us was not just a one-time cost. It's for the whole year. So I just did the math. It's about $5,000. Not only that, you have to put a pet deposit down. So add another like half your rent on top of that, could be like $700. So we're looking
Holy.
at like new math, 10 grand, okay?
And that is just for you to have a dog for the first year.
For the first year, just going from our previous year before without having a dog to our first year with having a new puppy. So almost 10 grand of just initial setup expenses and new costs. I forgot my first year vet visits too. In that first year, $600, which is included in my total. So I forgot to
And was
mention
that including the spading, or is that like
no,
separate?
that's separate.
Oh, okay. So the other one was like vaccines or things like that.
Yeah, vaccines, initial visits, annual checkups. And that can be so, like, the range could be insane because some people's dogs get super sick in the first year. Puppies are freaking accident prone. They're so clumsy. They get into things, they swallow things, they eat things. So luckily for us, Darwin was she's very mild in terms of like having to go to the vet. So that was, I think, a pretty just like standard cost for like annual checkups and vaccines and stuff. So yeah, but that's included in everything. But yeah, we're looking at around like 10 grand for that first year.
Okay. Oh my gosh. So like, yeah, like I think like those, like once you really add it into like that bunch, because if you hear like 400 here, like da la 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 la, it's like one thing, but like just comparing like a year without Darwin and then a year later, like where the expenses are at, that's where you really see the chunk of like, oh, it's 10 grand.
I know. It's like you don't even think about it that way just because it's like being taken out so sporadically and like every month or so. But yeah, I also did a lot of planning.
One question I had.
Yeah.
Did you get insurance right away? So like, is that included in like those first year, or did you wait it a bit? What was your deal with the insurance?
I did get insurance within the first year. We did like kind of juggle the idea around for the first few months just because we were like, well, there's that one camp of thought of like, oh, you can save money aside, put it in a savings account or whatever, and that could be your expenses for your dog's health and everything. Or you can invest in insurance. And we were like, well, she's young. It makes sense to get it when they're young so that they don't have any like pre-existing conditions if you get it when they're older. But yeah, that one's also a struggle because insurance is also determined by like where you live and like how old your dog is and how many claims you make. And there's just so many things that fluctuate, and that determines like your premiums and then like choosing your deductible and all that stuff. So we did get insurance for that first year, but I think it was more on like the tail end of it, like maybe when she was like 8 or 9 months old.
Okay.
Yeah. But I included that in my yearly costs rather than my like initial setup costs. So, but yeah. So that's the first year. Okay. So now I also have kind of a summary of cost for just what a year looks like financially for having Darwin. And for this, do you hear her squeaking?
That's Darwin enjoying her toys.
Because I went to go close the laundry thing and she's like, oh, now it's time to play. Darwin, no play. No play.
She's gonna be like,
usually just, yeah, I know. I usually just have to tell her no, and then she'll like drop the toy and be sad and depressed.
So you can imagine that Darwin is sad and depressed over there now.
She's just looking at me like this.
She's so good. Like anytime you do like that drop, and like she just like you don't even finish saying the word drop, and she just like yeah. I'm like, look at you, Darwin.
But yeah, so for our yearly costs, I totaled it all up and it came to around $5,315 for each year, roughly, since we've had her. Roughly speaking. What does that look like? Well, again, this can vary because everybody's different and they make different choices for their dogs. But Kibble to start, because we feed her dry kibble. That's about $50 a month, or like $600 a year. Treats, we probably spend a bit. You know what? I don't think we spend that much on her. We do chop them up pretty small, and we're pretty cost effective with the treats if you listen to the episode on her diet. So I think we're pretty good with that. I put like $40 a month or $480 a year. Chews, probably about $20 a month. I buy her a lot of like bully sticks or like collagen sticks. So that's about $240 a year. Supplements, something that you don't really think about when you get a dog. You're like, I'm going to buy my dog supplements. And then you get into this like whole crazy marketing. You fall for the marketing of all the supplements and everything.
And now you're giving a supplement.
I know. And I'm like, now I'm giving her fish oil and I'm giving her probiotics. I don't even know if it's helping her. She's got some joint thing.
But there goes the supplement.
There it is. It's about $25 a month roughly, because you're not buying it like every month, but just kind of to
just
break it down. Yeah, it's about $25 a month or $300 a year. The insurance, so we
have a beef with the insurance.
I know. And I just found out I'm not paying that much, but the jump from last year to this year was just a little crazy for me. So I was like, what the fuck was that?
So other people are paying more.
Yeah, it's crazy. It's crazy out there.
Jesus Christ. I have a beef with the insurance on my own.
I know. Like, okay, so the insurance, the actual cost of her insurance per year is about $1,200. So like $100 a month, which I found out is pretty standard for a lot of people, or even low for a lot of people. But last year, it was $800 a year.
Yeah, it was quite a jump.
That's a big jump, like $400 like year over year. That's crazy. This is the premium. So our deductible is $500. So if she does get injured or whatever, we do have to pay $500 out of our pocket, and then they cover the rest of it if it's covered in their list of whatever. That's another topic also. But because we buy behavioral medication for Darwin, like every single month, like we probably spend about $90 a month on her meds. So it's about like $1,080 a year. So I did deduct it from like our insurance, because the insurance pays for all of that. Like we claim everything and it's all covered. So technically the insurance is about like, the premium is about $200 a year after all is said and done with all her deductibles of medication, not including any other random stuff that she might have. But the medication is pretty standard for us, and it's been like that for a while. So there's that. Annual exams, we do go to a bit of a higher end vet clinic because it is fear-free and Darwin has behavior issues. So it's about $150 for her annual checkup. And then we also have flea, tick, heartworm prevention, all that sort of stuff. I would say that's about like $20 a month, depending on what you get. If you use it all throughout the year, if you only use it for certain times of the year. So about $240 a year. Vaccines, I said about $50 a year, just because you're not getting vaccines every single year. Like they'll be like every 2 years or every 3 years. So that's kind of split up that way. This is where we're very lucky. Grooming, nail trims, $0.
And that can be quite the expense.
Oh my God. Some of these people out here with their doodles and their long coated, double coated, it's crazy. Like, I don't even, like, she's a small girl. She's only 30 pounds now. She's only 30 pounds. And like, we were very, okay, I always say this to Ricky. I'm like, our breeder did everything right breeding this dog except for what was in her brain.
Everything else is perfect.
Everything else, perfection. She is so hygienic, never gets like mats and stuff. I can brush her like once or twice a week. She's totally fine. Super clean. Ears are never dirty. Her teeth never had like a dental cleaning. Pearly white. Doesn't ever have plaque. Like the most perfect, highly groomed, hygienic dog.
Except for her brainsies.
Except for the brain. That's the only thing that's a little bit costly. But I I've never taken her to a groomer. I've never gotten her nails professionally done because I do it all myself. I had dogs growing up when I was a kid, and my mom actually taught me to do a lot of this stuff because she was like, if you're going to get a dog, you have to learn how to do all this. So she literally
We
taught me
have
how
to
to
talk about how much you know how to do, Olivia, because to me, I was like amazed by the fact that an individual can do that. So please tell
So,
us.
again, I'm not a vet technician. I'm not a groomer. So please don't take my advice on this, but I do everything. So I bathe her, I like shampoo her, clean her. I do her anal gland expressions as well. And like I learned how to do it when I was like 15. So I'm like, I've been doing it for years. I did it for
You're
all
just
my
like,
dogs. It's super disgusting, but like I'm not squeamish when it comes to like vomit or like poop. It's only for me. If it's blood, I'm out. But like the poop I can deal with. It's gross. You squish the little sacks in their butt. It squishes everywhere. It flies on the walls. It's on your hand. It's so gross. It's super nasty. Yeah, just like take a little pinch and under their butthole and just a little squish. That's all it is. So I've done that for her, and yeah, I do all her nail trims too. That was the one thing I was like, the one thing I trained right with my dog from the very beginning was making sure she was, she could handle like paw trims and like cleaning her butt and going into like she jumps in the shower just fine. She tolerates it, but like she's fine. So all that $0 for us. I mean, shampoo was like $40 maybe a year because we bathe her probably like once a month, if that, maybe once every 2 months. Dental care. I do brush her teeth now because our vet told us to start doing it, even though she has really good dental hygiene, just so as she gets older, plaque becomes like more common for older dogs. So we just started brushing her teeth again. I make my own toothpaste.
See, you are very crafty. Like
I'm
I
very
keep
crafty.
discovering like new skills that you have.
Crafty, cheap, same thing.
Potato.
Also, Jarwin doesn't like the taste of like any of the commercial toothpaste. Like they all are just so repulsive to her. Like she smells it and she's like running the other way. But I do a coconut oil paste and she loves it. So she'll just sit there and she'll be like, la, la, la.
She's like, I'm loving this.
Yeah, so it's a fun time for her, which is great. And then we have like toys. Again, we don't buy that many toys for her, but like I guess if we do in a year, maybe it's like $70, which I don't think sounds that crazy. Poop bags, buy the big pack on Amazon, $30 maybe a year. That covers that. Cleaning supplies, don't really buy that much other than like maybe some wipes and I don't know, just random stuff. So like $30 a year. And then the big one we have here is dog sitting and boarding. We don't get her, like, she doesn't go to daycare a lot, maybe like 2 or 3 times a month when, like, me and my husband are both super busy. But it's the boarding one because we at least do, like, we try to do one big trip a year, and we're usually gone for at least a week and a half or 2 weeks. So I lumped all of that together, and that costs about $1,800 a year. So that's sitting and boarding. And then dog walking. A lot of people pay for dog walking. I don't because I'm a dog walker.
If our clients are listening, thank you.
So I walk my dog and I don't pay anything for that. So there's that. And that costs about $5,315 a year. Or if you want to break it up monthly, it's about $442.92. So
Okay. So like almost like $500.
Yeah, about $500. And like I think we are very lean with our spending. Like we're very conscious about how much we spend on her, and we don't like excessively buy things for her. So I think that's on the leaner side. But it could range. It could be less for other people. It could be way more for other people. So That is my case study on Darwin's financial.
So just so like anyone like wondering, at least you know what is the scenario for a person right now living with their dog and just living life and going through that process of getting a dog. 'Cause that's what I always ask people of like, how what's it for you? Like going through the whole process. And I think like also finding like if you want a puppy, like finding the right breeder and like kind of like figuring that out, which can be like daunting all on its own. And it's yeah, like I was talking with a like a new friend yesterday, and I was also like, how was getting your dog? Like tell me all about the story. Because I mean at the end of the day I do want to get into it, but I think it's really important to like be very clear, and just like you said, you know, like knowing that, you know, like just checking how much is gonna be to like get the actual dog, like it doesn't end there. It's actually just like a tiny portion of everything else that comes with that. So I think like just being very clear into that instead of just continue to get surprised, because I feel like that break of expectations, like if you are not really ready and you don't have like the savings, especially because I feel like that financial strain can be very stressful for you, and then that also ends up affecting your relationship with your dog because you start like resenting something if like you are struggling a lot, and I know that for a lot of people who have dogs who get sick a lot, like those dogs who have like just like mysterious allergies that till this day we don't know what this dog is, and like it's like vet visits every like 2 weeks or things like that. It can be so tough. So I think like just knowing that that can totally be your case, and like are you kind of like coming into this decision like knowing that that is a possibility, and are you prepared? Like I am someone who likes to be prepared for like the worst case scenario and then like expecting the best to go, but I feel like I am more relaxed and I'm more able to cope with things if I am prepared for like the worst case scenario, which at the end of the day something new can come up that you never imagine. But just at least for us seeing with our clients and with the dogs that we know, like all the colors and all the options that can come from dogs. There's dogs who, just like you said, like Darwin, like they don't get sick, you don't have to take them to the vet, and like it's amazing. And then there's dogs who like you go there like at least once a month because there's something, or like they have a lot of stomach issues, or they have a lot of like skin issues or like allergies, which I'm seeing like more and more. Like right now I have like several clients who are like, I have no idea what is wrong with my dog, but it's clearly like they're itchy, they're leaking, they have this thing, but they cannot pinpoint. So like going through like tests and like trying to find that out, so it can be very, very stressful. So I think like just knowing that that can happen instead of like just focusing in like all the beauty and like all the beautiful moments that you're gonna have with your dog, and then seeing that reality of like, oh man, like that is just a portion of that, but there is this other side, just makes like I think like with the more informed decisions that we can make, the easier our life will be.
I know. And like people don't think dog allergies are very common, but oh my God, they're so common. Like we have
So
so
freaking
many
common.
clients that just have like allergies here, allergies there, getting immunotherapy shots, and like allergic to human dander, like the craziest things that you like wouldn't even think to have planned for before getting a dog. Like there's just so many unexpected things sometimes that could happen. Or yeah, like you said, with Darwin, there's absolutely nothing you have to worry about when it comes to that side of things, but it might be behavioral medication. It might be like really expensive vet visits because you have to go to behaviorists. So just know it could be very wide in the range of like how much you're investing financially into this dog, just depending on what kind of dog you get. And also like what your priorities are too. Like I get it. Like for some people, they might not even think to prioritize something like an allergy because maybe they just don't have the funds for it or whatever, but their dog is generally okay and maybe just a little bit itchy. So it really just depends on the situation.
And just like you said, I think like the kind of dog that you get, because of course, like we all know that, for example, Frenchies, right? Like there are specific breeds that, yeah, they're like very popular, like people love them. It's just like you see them everywhere, but they are also like a lot of health issues that come from like that particular breed, like with shepherds, like, you know, like the hips and those issues. So it's just like really knowing. And I think like if we can summarize everything that we've been talking about in all the episodes, is really understanding like deeper into like what comes, like not only like the personality traits, but also like the disease that come with like the breed that you're getting, or if you're getting a rescue, as we talk with Toby, it's just like, okay, like what are the complexities that a rescue dog may come with, and how can you prepare for that? How can you like really switch your life, because at the end of the day you may have to do that or like adjust. So I think like all of those things really go into like adding layers of really understanding like the deepness that dogs come with, because I feel like, at least for me, when I was 13 and I wanted a dog, like I had no idea of like even 10% of all of the things that I know now. And it's like, man, like I would have enjoyed my dog so much more. I would have like make a lot more from a relationship and what I was able to offer to her, just knowing that I could play with her, that I could train her, and like there were things that I could do to like teach her how to like go in the world, how could read her behavior. Like I still think of like the 2 times that she bit friends of mine, and it's just like, man, she was giving us all the cues that she didn't love being pet, and then we ignored that, and then she had to bite, and then it was just like, oh, your dog is like a savage and blah blah blah. And it's just like we were so ignorant. So it's just like it pains me sometimes. But I think, yeah, like I think one time I heard that line of like ignorance, like I know it in Spanish because it's like la ignorancia es atrevida, but it's like ignorance is bold. I think that's how you could like
Ignorance is
translate that.
bliss.
Bliss. Well, it could be that. Yeah, in this one it's more like, you take a lot of like risk when you don't know. Like, yeah, it's more like bold, like the instant translation, but it's the same. Like it's like you like think of many things are possible when you just don't know about it. So yeah, I think like, yeah, the goal of this is just to like make more people be more informed and more prepared and really enjoy the beauty, because even though we're calling dogs, I mean, it's really dog ownership, this scam. But like, at the end of the day, really the relationship between humans and dogs goes so much beyond like the financial and like the money side. I think like this is just something recent that, because of this capitalistic world that we're living in, like I see that super big shift in like even in marketing. And I think I mentioned that, of how I've been digging a lot into like, for example, vet clinics, and like how the corporations are taking over, and like private equity is taking over like vet clinics, and then you are pushing away like everything, it's turning about profit. And then, like you're pushing away all like the really caring and, like the people who are just like there doing what they love and like serving the community. And then you're just putting like dollar signs into everything, and you're like making everything like very transactional. And they were like linking the connection between like when insurance companies got into pet care, and how that just kind of like changed the game for everything, for like vet clinics, for medicines, for, like all these extra things that are really made to kind of like fit in the system that is just like prioritizing profit. But it's just like we have to separate like what is this system that we're living in, and then separate like the relationship between human and dog goes back from centuries. So like that is clearly special. That is something that we want. That is something that I hope dogs want because that's the life that they live in. But it's just like it's a bond that was created, I feel like, a bit of organically, but it's just like right now. And I think like that's why we do feel that, like we want a dog and we want to have that companionship. But now it's just like balancing out, yeah, like the reality of our society and how we can kind of like maintain our sanity, our love for dogs, and at the same time being able to cope with like the constant marketing, just like you said, right? Like now you are the person who is like buying supplements, and it's just like, is it really like helping? Is it not? Would you feel better? So I feel like it's just that I feel like it's a bit of a vulnerable spot for us, because we love our dogs so much that for yeah, like this private equity and things that just just see profit. It's just like, well, we can make a lot of money here because people really care for their dogs, and we can use those emotional strings to like make people dance and do whatever we want. If we start selling this idea that for your dog to be happy, you need this, and that, and you need to like, oh, my friend now got a new crate, so now I need another crate, right? So like, I think like those are the things where we just have to like stop and like just say like, okay, like, is it okay? Like, if you can afford it, go for it. Have like 20 crates. But if that is creating some conflict in your life and you are like, oh man, like I'm not gonna enjoy, because I think like that is the biggest thing for me, that I always want to prioritize like true enjoyment rather than just pretending. And I think like going back to my story about the weddings, I feel like everything came very clear to me when I had, because I never wanted to have, like in Mexico, you have your quinceaños, like, well, I don't know why in English they call it quinceañera. That doesn't make any sense in Spanish, but I have my beef with that word. But yeah, like you have like your Sweet 15, and I remember I didn't want to have any party or anything. I prefer to have a travel and blah blah blah. And then one time I was watching MTV I won my Sweet 16 or something. I swear, like that marketing just kind of like got me. And after that, I was just like, I want to party. And I can see now the connection of like me watching that episode. I think like it was just a summer that I just watched like MTV, and I was watching that show and I was seeing all these dramas and things, and like, I want in. So then after that, I fully changed and I was like, now I want it. And I was like 6 months away. And I wish my mom had said no, but she said yes. And she went into debt to get me this party. We had these like 100 people party, and that was kind of like smallish. I had like the dress, I had everything. And I remember that freaking night sucked. Like till this day, I remember that like I didn't enjoy it. Like I was so stressed. I wanted to be with everyone. It was so dizzying. It was a weird moment in my life in a separate fashion. And it was just like, I remember I went home that night and I was just feeling so guilty because I made my mom do this thing that I didn't even enjoy. And the next day, everything was gone. The debt was still there. And I didn't feel anything that I thought that I was going to feel after that. So I think like that right there, it was when I said like, I don't like this. I don't want to, like have this idea that this night is going to be the most special night of my life. And then you go through it and it's just like, it wasn't. And it actually kind of sucked. So I think like that is the same. So I always kind of like, after that story, it was like, I really want to prioritize true happiness, right? Like I really want to be in the moment, enjoy the moment, and have the situation set up in a way that I can be fully and, committed into what I'm doing. So I think like when I see myself having a dog, it's just like, I don't want to rush into having a dog and then not have time to enjoy my dog because I am like crazy. I am like, like super stressed about money, or I am, like doing this and that. And I know that there is not a perfect moment and things will flow, even if it's not perfectly. But I do want to give myself that head start of like, at least I want to go in feeling prepared, feeling ready, and kind of like mentally prepared and financially prepared to really enjoy that situation. So I think like that really is where it comes from. Like whenever I have a dog, I want to freaking enjoy it. So I want to make sure I have the conditions to help me enjoy that and really be fully into that. So I think like that, at least for me, is that like for me, that reality check and just knowing, okay, I have to set up like a little maybe 10K of like savings and just kind of like at least having a goal for me is like, it makes my life like start to like make sense. And like, I'm going to start like my little savings, which I actually have. Like I have a little savings account that is called Dog. But then I keep using it for like my business. It's just like, well, it's a dog business. It's the same.
Oh, I love that.
But yeah, I have that, but I'm going to start like putting in, and now I have a goal. So it's just like, okay, at least those 5K is like, okay, at least I have that now.
That's so funny. I mean, like, it totally makes sense, like everything you're saying, because we even talked about this in our business episode about marketing. Like, a whole purpose of like a marketer's job is to make you buy into like this lifestyle. So if you see that like marketed, like a product marketed to you in a certain way, and you want to like have that specific lifestyle, it's gonna be really appealing to you. You're gonna want to buy it. Like the really fancy crate that looks real, like mine is hideous. It's so ugly. But also my crate is not in a place where people are going to be seeing it and stuff like that. But if it was, I'd be like, yeah, I would like a nice fancy crate too, because that's the impression I want to give off to people. But it makes sense. Like you see something on TV, you're like, oh my God, they're living this lifestyle. They're having the best party. I want my party to be like that. I want to do it too. And it's the same thing with the weddings too, right? Like you see weddings and you're like, oh my God, they're so happy. Everybody's having a great time. And it's like the best day ever. And I'm like, my wedding was okay, but it was not the best day ever. It was so freaking stressful.
Yeah, right? Like at the end of the day, it's just like, oh my God, like this person fought here and then this person got stressed.
Chaotic.
And I have this memory of like this person fighting here and I was like so angry here. And it's just like, wait, where was that magical day? Like,
yeah.
Like...
I was like, I have, like, my wedding would not be in the top 10 amazing days of my life for sure. Like, it would probably be at the very bottom. But like, you know, we are sold these stories and these ideas about products or like events and things like that, and that's what we want. And I think that's what's surrounding a lot of like dog ownership now, especially with like social media. You're just like being fed all these different things to buy and how to make your dog's life better. And I think one thing a lot of companies and brands are capitalizing on is this idea of like this time that we don't have to spend with our dogs, especially when you see how many like toys, enrichment puzzles, different training things for your dogs and all that sort of stuff. Like they're really capitalizing on this idea of like, oh, you don't have time to spend with your dog? Like here, buy this magical thing and like your dog will be fulfilled and enriched and you won't need to spend an hour with them and you can just give them this thing for like 15 minutes and it'll be great. So I think the time commitment thing is like a big part of that, along with all the other things that they love to market. So I don't blame anybody for it, man. I fall for it too all the time. I'm not saying I'm exempt from it.
No, and I feel like that is the thing. Like, it's really just catching ourselves because, like, we go through it. Like, even like not with the dog, but I was looking for like skincare, so I went to like Sephora, and then it was just like like this person was just like, "Oh, you should get this cream," and blah 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 blah, and I was just like, "Oh, okay, I mean, like, seems good enough. It feels good. I'll take it." But then I realized that everything that day was about that brand, and the lady wasn't working for Sephora. It was actually working for that brand, so it wasn't of like, oh yeah, for your skin, and they tell you, yeah, this is the perfect product for you. So now she never disclosed to me that she was working for that company. So it's just like, it's like so easy to get tricked. So I think like at least for me, what I'm trying to do is just having like that awareness of saying like, okay, do I really want that? Like my thing, like where I spend a lot of money is food. Like I love food. And if I see like a little burger, it's just like, oh, I want to order a burger.
Girl, same. Yeah. Food will like, get me every time.
Like, some fries, like with cheese. It's just like, I want them. So I think like it's really just like watching myself. And it's like, okay, do I really want it? Do I have food at home? Like, is there anything else? And it's just like really stopping us and really considering like what it is that we actually want and that we actually need, and not outsourcing that thinking to like all the things that we are bombarded with, because it's crazy to me that we just had a conversation and then all of a sudden we start seeing ads for that, and it's just like, I mean, sometimes it's very handy because it's like, oh yeah, I forgot I actually need that, but so many times it's so intrusive, and even if I just kind of like by mistake like click on an ad, like all of a sudden I'm getting like all these huge waves. My other thing, it's also like education when it comes to dogs. Oh my God, it's so easy for me to just buy another course and do this thing. So I have to like put myself limits of like, okay, you have to watch everything that you've had so far before you buy something else, or like you really have to use, just like you said, like sometimes I see that a lot with and we don't love like food puzzles or anything like that. We always use it as the wrong example. But like if you already have like 3 and maybe your dog got tired of them or like just figured them out like super quick, like maybe don't buy a third one and maybe start doing something with cardboard, like you can keep it new, you can add the challenges. So I think it's just like trying to think beyond the marketing and then not having those kind of like, yeah, like those strings really pull from us, and I'm like, trying as much as we can to at least pausing and being aware of what we're doing, of what we're feeling, or like that intention of buying, and then really thinking of like, what do we have? Like, do I have something similar that I haven't like fully enjoyed with my dog? Or like maybe how can I do like just like you, that you make your little toothpaste and express her own glands. Like, what can I do myself?
Yeah, and I think also because like we're both in a position where we don't have like a lot of income just to be like spending left and right, like we're both small business owners, we're trying to make it in the world, we live in an expensive city, like it's crazy. I'm like, man, if I was like a billionaire, sure, I'd be spending everything everywhere and no problem. But I am a real person living a very real life with very real expenses. So yeah, like I did buy a couple puzzles for Darwin when she was young, and she figured them out like that because she's super smart. And sure, we use them every now and then just to like do something for her, but at the end of the day, I'm not buying any more because like, why am I going to buy more when she's going to figure it out in a day and then it's just going to become boring for her, Like for her, she would much rather spend time with me in the forest looking for a new path, jumping on logs, running through creeks, and just being an absolute nut job that she is, rather than like, having another puzzle or another ball that dispenses kibble or whatever. Also, she's on a diet, so like all that stuff it's just too much. So
she's a little limited, and I think like that is at the end of the day like the bigger point that I wanted to make here, that like again, like with this, especially with marketing and like all the brands that like are coming out and they're telling you like, this is it, this is the thing that your dog needs and wants. Like if we go back, like dogs really want nature, and I feel like if we are able, especially in these crazy times where we are so logged online, where we are like just kind of like close corner, like we need nature so much right now. And I feel like a part of us, and like the part that makes us want to get a dog, is because we want that part of nature, of like really connecting with another like living thing that we can like just like have and love and connect. Yeah, like the connection part. So I think like if we are able to, instead of like pulling dogs into our urban busy digital reality, I was thinking that when I saw like like this like treat dispensers that you can be away from home, and then the dog clicks, or you can call and then it throws the kibble. I mean, it's a nice idea, and I think like a lot of dogs are going to enjoy that. But we have to be aware that none of that replicates to like truly being with your dog and going out in nature, and like that is the biggest thing. So instead of like trying to pull dogs to our reality, I feel like sometimes we just need to let dogs pull us into theirs, and being in the present and enjoying the simple things. And I think like for me, I find that my dogs, like sometimes they prefer to like just, like sniff for a treat, like in the grass, and be like sniffing this thing instead of like really engaging with, I don't know, like a toy or something more like plasticky. And it's like, why don't we just kind of like take that invitation and really follow our hearts into like being more in nature, and like using them as the excuse to like leave the phone at home, go outside, go into, like if you didn't used to go hiking, well, now you have a dog. So guess what? Like now you are gonna have to do that a little bit more, or take them to the lake, and really using them to pull us to nature rather than trying to get them out of nature to feed our lifestyle, that I think it's just going the opposite way that it should have been.
Oh, I know, totally. Like if you have a dog and you see them outside engaging with nature and seeing them run around, and they look like they're having the best time ever. And like, there is nothing that beats seeing that dog just have so much fun, just like running around, hopping on things, like smelling new smells. And sure, they might be engaged with a toy inside and rolling something around or figuring out a puzzle, but man, nothing beats that look on their face when they're just like, oh my God, did you see me go through that water?
And like jumping and getting dirty and just being a dog.
Yeah,
I feel
like
like
let
that
them
is
roll
the beauty.
around, let them get in mud, let them get dirty. Like, man, they have such limited choices because we dictate so much of their life. Like, who cares? Let them get a little bit money if they want to roll in a
Mm-hmm.
little bit of poop every now and then. It's like they're doing
Mm-hmm.
dog things, you know?
And I think like that goes back to the point of like when you expect and you really understand the needs of your dog, it's not gonna come as a surprise of like, why did you roll in grass
Yeah.
and mud or like, you know, like you are so dirty now. It's just like, well, if you have a beagle, it's very likely that they're gonna end up rolling in poop. So it's just like if you add that into your list of expectations, and yeah, of
Yeah.
course you're gonna try to like keep them away sometimes, but at least it's gonna be like, okay, you are a dog. You, for some reason, enjoy the smell of poop and you want it all over you. But at least you can laugh about it a bit easier, I think, that if you just are like, why is my dog like this? Like, well, it's a dog.
Yeah. And like again, there's nothing wrong with having the toys and the snuffle mats. Like I have all that
Mm-hmm.
stuff too, but I like what Bianca said in our previous episode about how it's supplemental. Like it's not the
Mm-hmm.
nutrients that they need. Really the nutrients that they need is
Mm-hmm.
being outside with you, engaging with you, having fun with you, going out in nature. Like that's where they fill their cup, and then having all that other stuff is just like nice add-ons.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, if you want to buy the puzzle, go buy the puzzle. But also take your dog
Mm-hmm.
outside, have fun with them.
Yes, yes. So I think like that is a perfect way that we can like start just like wrapping up this episode, because I think that yeah, like at the end of the day is really just like let's not let dog ownership become a scam. And there's a lot of parts that we really cannot control, like the vet codes. Well, I wish there was a way that we can, you know, like maybe you can start supporting, like just going deeper into like who is this clinic, is the vet the one that is actually working here, and just asking more questions, trying to support local. So there are definitely things that we can do to kind of like keep. I think like what I am most worried about is like really like this side of like corporations pushing out the people who are truly care and are truly passionate for people who are just following the money, and then everyone suffers when you start getting into that. So I think like even though like there's not huge things, little decisions that we can make into just like which yeah, like just check with your vet clinic, are they, you know, like are they actually like local, they're like independent, and those little things I think like add on. But like the biggest thing is like yeah, like go to nature, like connect with your dog with the things that you already have, and don't fall so easily for the idea that you need yet another thing to make your dog happy. And just know that what your dog really wants is to spend time with you and to connect with you, and not just to get a walk when you are on the phone or like talking at work. It's just like let's let dogs be our like the channel that pulls us into reality, that pulls us in the present, because they have such a big power of just being in the present moment at all times. They just want to be here. They just want to be in the moment, whether it is maybe like barking at the neighbor or whatever, but they are like pulling you into like, you have to be present for that, especially
Mhm.
with your spicy dogs. So I think like if we can
Mhm.
like stop like fighting it so much and like really like trying to attach to control the way that we know it, and really just kind of like let go and be part of the experience, and let us like get the nutrients from whatever experience our dogs are leading into us, the better. So don't fall for the marketing. If you want to buy the things, but don't feel like that it's a similar. I love what you said, like it's a supplement, not the
Mhm.
nourishment.
I'm gonna credit Bianca for that one, and I'm gonna use it continually now because it's a good one.
I know, like I don't know why I didn't remember that line. I was in the same episode, but I'm gonna go back. I'm like, let me just get that one.
I think it's because I just listened to it again the other day, so I was like, it's like fresh in my mind.
And it's also so funny how we all like gather different parts, like even though we
Mhm.
were in the same moment in the same conversation. I mean, and I listened to it, but it's just like for some reason that didn't resonate as much when I listened to it. But like right
Yeah.
now that you said, it's like that is so true.
So, Laura, I have one question for you. When are you gonna get a dog?
I hope that maybe next year. I want to say, like, I don't know if like next year at the beginning or at the end, but
Yeah.
I am starting to like I was telling Fernando, like we need to start like maybe just looking, browsing, see what's up. I have a low key plan of rehoming my friend's dog into my life.
Which was going to be my follow-up question, because I'm always curious. Are you going to, like, do you think you want to get a puppy, or do you think you would want to get, like, I don't know, a rescue or a rehome dog or something?
Man, yeah, like I wish I could say like the rest, but I do want to leave the puppy experience. I honestly feel like I wanna like
Get the
see
whole
them, because I
thing.
think like,
Yeah.
yeah, because it's just like, I don't think that I really enjoy that when I got my puppy at 13 years old. So it's just like, I know I could have done like things like so different now. So I want to have another opportunity at that. And that doesn't go to say that maybe if I just like super connect with a rescue dog, it's just like, well, this dog is for me, and I'm open. But I think I definitely want to leave that experience of like the puppyhood. And I also don't know if I'm gonna have kids, so I feel like at least I want to have that experience of like that expectation and like picking up and being very picky about, I want a breeder, and I want like a dog very specific, and I want certain qualities. So I would really love to go through that whole journey. As I mentioned, like yesterday I met with, it's actually like someone I met on Instagram, and then she was just like, would you like go for a coffee? It's like, that's how I make half of my friends these days. So like, let's go. So we went out, and she has a 6-month-old golden. And then she was telling me all about it, because she got the dog. She's already into like dog sports. So she got the dog with like that mindset of like getting into dog sports. And like, oh my God, like I told her about our podcast, because she was saying of like, yeah, for me, like the relationship is the more important part, like whatever sport we're going to do, I just want her to enjoy it. But I just, like, I just want us to be connected. And I was like, you are going to love this episode with Julia, because that was all we talked about. But yeah, I definitely want to go for a puppy. At least that's
Aw.
what is in my heart. I know that Fernando also wants to go through that experience. So yeah, that's what we would go to. We're still like very thinking into having a small dog. Like I want to have my beautiful Havanese. I want like a very crazy, very drivey Havanese, like a corky but a baby, because it's like, oh, we could do so many things, and it's just like small size, and it's just like a little, like I want a corky, like, but just a new corky.
I do find it funny how like certain people are just attracted to like smaller dogs, bigger dogs, medium-sized dogs. Because like I'm a medium-sized dog girly. Like I can't do the big dog thing. Love them to death, but my OCD could never. And I feel like a small dog is not a big enough dog for me. Like I need something substantial.
I know, and I just love, like, I imagine of like just going, like maybe being on all fours and have the dog like jump on me, or then jump in like my hing and like balancing here. Like I always think of like with Corky of like how many things, like if I met Corky when he was like 3 years old, like the things we would have done, like he would be like balancing in my head right now, and he would be the happiest dog. So it's just like, I just want to find like a replica, and I want it like very intense, like because he has that like Malinois mentality, or like border collie obsessiveness, but in like a tiny body. So it's like easier to like handle like a smaller body than a full size like border collie or something. So well, we'll see what happens when that time comes. But I would love to say that I would love that 2027 be my
It's her year.
doggy
It's her
year.
doggy year.
I'm getting into this scam, guys.
I mean, I think that's a perfect way to wrap this up, because at the end of the day, we're both going to fall for the scam because we love dogs and we just want to have the most fulfilled life for us and for the dog. So in the end, totally worth it. Would do it again, 100%.
Like the wedding, maybe no, but the dog, yes.
The dog, yes. The wedding, definitely not. So yes, dog ownership might be a scam, but it is 100% worth it, because man, the connection you have with your dog is just something else, man. I just can't explain it. It's just they're just right there with you every step of the way, always happy to see you, that unconditional love, and it just makes me so happy when I see her happy. So that's all it is.
I know. See, it's worth it. It is. I do believe that. Like from all the scams that are out there, it's the best scam.
I'm buying into this one. Subscribe.
And well, before we go, we always forget to say this in the
I
middle of
know.
the episode.
We're so
but
terrible
guys,
at it.
like for two marketers, we really suck at marketing our podcast. But if you enjoy this conversation, please rate, like, subscribe, wherever you are, whatever you can do. Please do so. Leave us a review on Spotify or Apple. Can we do reviews in Apple Podcasts? I don't know.
I don't know
Never
because
thought
I
about
don't
it.
use Apple Podcasts, so I have no idea.
Yeah, but whatever you can do in Apple Podcasts, like just do it. We still appreciate it.
Yeah, man. We love doing this, and it does take a lot of time and energy behind the scenes and everything. So, if we can just get a little bit of feedback, some likes, some comments, if you can even share it on your Instagram or wherever your socials are, that'd be awesome. Because we are planning for a season 2, and we want to do it. But we also want to know that you're going to be there with us.
Yeah, we love when people send us like photos like in their car listening to the podcast. So just knowing that it is part of your life. And I think that is the other shout out that we need to do of Charlie. Like, oh my God, I forget his Instagram, like the Instagram.
I know who you're talking
like,
about.
Charlie.
Wait, let me look up his Instagram handle.
Handle here. Because
man,
Charlie.
I'm not
Charlie
logged in my
something.
Instagram. Oh, wait, hold on. Wait. I have to go into my other
it?
browser.
Okay, people, just wait.
Do you hear my keyboard? Does my keyboard sound amazing? Hold on. Let me tip my microphone.
Oh my God.
Doesn't it sound lovely? Okay. The Instagram handle is chaos.withcharlie.
Yes.
And her name is Tracy, the owner of Charlie.
Okay.
And you guys, Tracy, Charlie, you guys are such big supporters. And we love all the sharing of our podcast on your stories and like feedback and commenting and everything. So thank you so much for listening. And yeah, we appreciate you.
Yeah, we love, like, and as I said, like, I think like the first time that you, Tracy, posted that picture of like listening in your car, or you were saying like, yeah, I wanted the episode to be up on my way to work. Like, those are the things that it just like, makes us so happy, and it makes this time very worth it. Other than, I also enjoy talking with Olivia. So like that is kind of like free friendship in here. But yeah, just knowing that you care and like we are there with you on your way to work, that really feels like it just feels like a dream come true. So thank you for sharing that. You give us a lot of motivation, and keep doing that.
Yeah. Also, because of you, Tracy, we actually started publishing our podcast earlier in the day. So we're listening to all the feedback, and we're making sure we adjust things so that you guys, have easier access to our podcast.
I know we need to like turn this into like a little highlight reel or something of like just giving shout outs to our listeners, because we love you guys and we appreciate you.
Thank you so much. But yeah, thanks for listening to Roughly Speaking. And man, we only have one more episode after this.
First season done almost.
I know. Crazy.
All right. Well, thank you guys.
Bye.
Bye.